Okay, I've been wanting to make a video on this for, well, a year now. But when this movie came out last year, I was still on my hiatus on this channel, still figuring stuff out. And, well, since I came back in December, this is a video that has been really weighing on my mind. I've wanted to talk about it for a while. I really wanted to just simply review this movie, talk about what it means to me and the impact it had on my life. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The Suicide Squad was released last August 2021, directed by James Gunn, starring Idris Elba, Margot Robbie, John Cena, Joel Kinnaman, Peter Capaldi, Daniela Melchior, Sylvester Stallone, Jai Courtney. Big, huge cast, like really a Suicide Squad story is. You got all these not even B-list characters. You got these C and D-list type supervillains from DC Comics, assembled by Amanda Waller to do her dirty work. And I already stated this in my most anticipated movies of 2021 video back when I made that. I really had no right to be excited for this movie because I really did not like the first Suicide Squad from 2016. I really did not. Aside from Margot Robbie, Jai Courtney, and Viola Davis, I was not a fan of it. Would the Ayer cut improve it? I don't know. I'm not even going to get into that here. But I was still excited for this one because James Gunn is one of my favorite directors, and the trailers for this were absolutely amazing. All the posters were great. I had a lot of hype going into this movie because I really wanted a good Suicide Squad movie. After being tremendously let down by the 2016 version, I just wanted a good movie based off one of my personal favorite DC properties, and that is Suicide Squad. And before I get into the review, I'm going to give a little bit more history onto that. It was August 4th last year, the day after my birthday, and I was working at a very horrible job. I was not happy whatsoever. I was really doubting myself as a person. My child was about to be born, so I had a lot of self-doubt there as well. I had dealt with a lot of drama in June and July of that month, which since has been sorted out, thankfully. But either way, I was just at a very low point in my life, and I just wasn't feeling anything other than the fact that I get to go home to my wife every night. I really wasn't happy. And I got a text from one of my friends and invited me to an early screening of The Suicide Squad. They knew I was excited for this movie. I said, yeah, once I get off work, I'll go home, take a shower, we'll head out there. And I got there, still not in a very good mood because, once again, the place I was working was absolutely terrible. And then I watched it, and that's where it leads into this review. Starting off with the good, and there's a lot that I absolutely love about this movie. All the acting is absolutely terrific. Viola Davis, obviously, once again, is great as Amanda Waller. And yes, she is definitely one of the main villains of this movie, much like how she was really the main villain of the first movie. She's once again great. She's always great. Viola Davis is one of my favorite actresses of all time. Probably my favorite of all time, tied with Jamie Lee Curtis, but she's absolutely pitch perfect casting as Amanda Waller. I really cannot see anybody else playing this role. It's like J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson at this point. No one can play Waller but Viola Davis. And if somebody else does, it just feels wrong. Will Smith was unable to return for this movie, so they got Idris Elba to originally play Deadshot, but they changed it to Bloodsport. And I really loved Idris Elba in this movie. He's absolutely great. I just love Idris Elba and everything. I really like what he brought to the character of Bloodsport. And on the subject of Bloodsport, you have another new character named Peacemaker, played by John Cena, who is absolutely hilarious. He's a horrible, horrible person, but he's really funny, and the way John Cena plays him is great. I really love the rivalry that builds between him and Bloodsport within this movie that culminates in the third act with a shootout between them. I just thought that it was a really fun dynamic that they had. Daniela Melchior plays Ratcatcher 2, not Ratcatcher 1, Ratcatcher 2, Ratcatcher's daughter. She does an absolutely terrific job. She's really the heart of this movie. She does have funny moments, but she's also got some of the best emotional moments within this movie as well. I thought she did an absolutely amazing job. I really loved her chemistry with Idris Elba as a sort of father-daughter type dynamic there. Obviously, I can't really go into this review without mentioning Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. She's absolutely terrific. She was great in the first Suicide Squad movie. She was great in Birds of Prey. And once again, she's great here. I just really love Margot Robbie as this character. I really hope that they do choose to continue with her as the character with the new direction DC is supposedly going. I'm not getting into that. That could be a whole different video if I wanted to. And then you have David Dastmalchian as Polka Dot Man. Absolutely great character. I never liked Polka Dot Man. I didn't like him in the comics or in, I believe he was in like 1 or 2 episodes of Batman the Animated Series. Always thought he was lame. And then David Dastmalchian comes along and just puts his all into this role. It's absolutely hilarious the way he does things, the way he sees his mother everywhere because of his past trauma. And I hate saying it's hilarious, but the way that everybody turns into his mother, it's just funny. Now, the character that really surprised me in this movie was Rick Flagg, played by Joel Kinnaman. I was not expecting to like Rick Flagg as much in this movie as I did because I was not a fan of Rick Flagg in the first Suicide Squad movie. Of course, it wasn't Joel Kinnaman's fault. He really was not given a good script. No one was given a good script in that movie. But he really upped his game in this movie. His acting is a lot better. Not to say he was absolutely atrocious in Suicide Squad. Joel Kinnaman's a very good actor, but I just love the way they characterized him in this movie. It's just so much better. They give him a lot of depth to his character. And I really loved his acting, especially in the third act when Peacemaker confronts him about something. And it's just absolutely terrific. Then you have Peter Capaldi as the Thinker, who is really the main villain of this movie. Yes, they fight Starro at the end. He's the final boss. But the Thinker is the one who sets this entire chain of events in motion, because he was the one who experimented on Starro back during the Cold War and had it in this foreign country, and then this foreign country gets taken over by a bad guy. So Waller sends in the Suicide Squad to destroy all this work. So really, Thinker is definitely the villain in this movie. He's very condescending, he's very manipulative, he's very evil, he's experimented on innocent people, experimented on children. He's absolutely evil, and seeing him get what he deserves in the third act, absolutely amazing. It was kind of funny. There was an extended version of that scene where he gets beat against the glass a few times and then splatters, but in the theatrical version, it's just him getting splattered against the glass. Either way, I really love the way that they characterized the Thinker in this movie. I'm glad they didn't try to make him some kind of sympathetic villain, because after seeing what he did, there's no sympathizing with this character. Then you got a whole bunch of other characters. Really, the first squad that's sent in at the beginning of the movie, they all die. TDK, Captain Boomerang, Savant, Blackguard, Javelin, Mongal, they all die. Well, TDK is technically still alive, apparently. But I really love that opening massacre with everybody just dying in these different brutal ways. TDK gets his arm shot off. Mongal gets burnt to death. Blackguard gets his face shot off. Captain Boomerang gets mowed down with a burning helicopter, which really stunned me when I first went in to see this movie, because Captain Boomerang was my favorite character in the first movie, and just seeing him get absolutely destroyed at the beginning of this movie, I'm like, okay, this movie is not playing around. Of course I miss Captain Boomerang, and honestly, I really hope they bring him back in future movies with the Flash resetting some stuff, apparently. They could easily bring back Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang, because Jai Courtney's perfect as Captain Boomerang. Either way, this movie was not messing around from the very first scene with everybody dying. Savant gets his head blown up. Every Suicide Squad story has that. Then the opening credits roll, and it just shows all the dead bodies of all these characters while people who died by Jim Carroll band plays. And everybody in the Argus office is just trading money from the bets that they made on who's gonna die, who's gonna live, while Waller just watches on with a smirk as every character profile goes red because they all died. It's just absolutely hilarious. And another thing this movie does great is just all the action in this movie. It's so good. I really love the pissing match that Bloodsport and Peacemaker get into, trying to prove who's the better shot or who can kill more people, all to find out it's a group of freedom fighters that they accidentally murdered. A character I forgot to mention earlier, but easily my favorite character in the movie, is King Shark, voiced by Sylvester Stallone. I love this character. I really want to see King Shark in everything now. He's kind of adorable, but also terrifying at the same time, if that even makes sense. I just love the way that they portrayed him. I'd really love to see him team up with everyone at this point. I'd love a spin-off with him and Ratcatcher too. I really love their friendship in this movie. But seeing this gentle giant just rip people in half just at random throughout the movie, it's kind of funny, but it's funny in a dark, disturbing way that James Gunn just knows how to do. Like I said, all the action is absolutely terrific, from the opening massacre to the pissing match that Bloodsport and Peacemaker get into, to the assault on the lab that Thinker works in, to the final battle with Starro, and that's absolutely terrific. You get Polka Dot Man dies, he gets squashed by Starro. It's funny, but also sad at the same time, because you don't want to see this character go, because he's such a good character throughout the movie. And then you also have a small fight between Peacemaker and Rick Flagg, where Rick Flagg wants to expose the American government for funding the Thinker's projects, but Peacemaker, being Peacemaker, wants to stop him and prevent anything from getting out, because, you know, he wants to keep the peace, avoid any kind of international conflict because of what America did. And the fight between them carries so much emotion, and the way it ends with Peacemaker killing Rick Flagg, which also has heavy bearing in the Peacemaker series, which I will have a review for probably in October before Black Adam. It really carries a lot of weight throughout the remainder of this movie, and also throughout that entire series. It's just really, really good. And the way it's all shot, it's really emotional. Rick Flagg's death is really sad, actually. And then the thing that really surprised me was the fact that when they killed Starro, they made me sympathize with Starro as well. And Starro's a villain that I never really got into in the comics. I know he was the very first character villain that the Justice League fought, and that's cool, but I just never really got into him. But I really like Starro in this movie. I thought he was a really good final boss. I'm not calling him a villain. He's really more a victim of the Thinker and the American government. So I'm not calling him a villain, but he is still the final boss, so I have to technically count him as a villain, but either way, I just really love that final fight. And one thing that I want to tie back into the story I told at the beginning of this video, I really connected with Ratcatcher's scene during the final battle. Everyone's outnumbered, Polka Dot Man is dead, King Shark gets thrown through a building, Harley Quinn's trapped on a roof, all of Bloodsport's weapons are destroyed, Peacemaker is presumed dead, Flagg is dead. Everything seems, it's all doomed. We're all gonna die. And then you get Ratcatcher 2, last remaining member of the team that can do something. She uses her torch to call on every rat in the city to swarm Starro. And that gives Harley Quinn time to throw the javelin through Starro's eye and let the rats get in and kill Starro. But before that happens, we get a small flashback where Ratcatcher, as a child, is sitting on a rooftop with her father, played by Taika Waititi actually. And she asks him, why rats? Why do we use rats? To which he replies,
rats are the lowliest and most despised of all creatures, my love. They have purpose. So do we all.
And that is just an absolutely beautiful line. And that's really a line that I needed to hear at the time that I saw this movie. Because like I said, I was really not in a good mood about anything. I had a lot of self-doubt going into this movie. And just hearing that line, but that line really, really changed my life. It made me realize I'm not useless. I am worth something. And that line inspired me to quit that dead-end job I was at. And I went back to a job where I was actually happy. That I had left a few months before because I thought, hey, this job pays more. No, it didn't really, and I was miserable. So I went back to my old job where I'm happy and I'm still there. And that line really turned my life around. And so when I see a bunch of people online hating on this movie, can't even tell you why they hate this movie, it drives me up a wall. And I just really can't stand it when someone tries to negate someone else's experience with a movie. So yeah, this movie is very, very, very important to me. And that's why I never upload on Saturdays. But with today being the 1-year anniversary of this movie, just really had to. It's like I said, it's important to me. And at that, final thoughts, The Suicide Squad, absolutely amazing movie in my opinion. Easily my favorite DC movie in modern times. I love this movie to death. Suicide Squad, one of my favorite movies of all time, gets a 10 out of 10 very easily. So that was my thoughts on The Suicide Squad. I will not be reviewing this movie in October for Black Adam because I've just reviewed it here. Either way, what did you think of this movie if you saw it? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to have a nice, lively discussion with people who both liked and disliked this movie. Just if you did not like this movie, just be respectful of people who did like it. I also really like Zack Snyder's movies, so don't take this as a shot at Zack Snyder's films. I still like them, but this movie is just something special for me. So either way, once again, let me know down in the comments what you think of this movie. I'd love to hear from all of you. As always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.